Jennifer Strickland thought being a fashion model was the ticket to a glamorous lifestyle. When she hit the runway, she found that wasn't the case.
It seemed like a dream come true for Jennifer Strickland. As a top fashion model, Jennifer's career took her to catwalks around the world. She soon learned, though, that life wasn't so glamorous behind the scenes. The pressure to be the perfect size and weight consumed her. When a major designer kicked her off the runway for gaining 4 pounds, Jennifer was devastated.
Armani doesn't want you, then nobody wants you. And that left me sort of shattered inside.
In her book, Girl Perfect, Jennifer shares how her pursuit of being accepted left her broken and how she found her perfect look.
Please welcome to the 700 Club the author of Girl Perfect, Jennifer Strickland. Great to have you with us. You know, that is such a glamorous looking world on the outside. What is it really like behind the scenes?
I think it's like anything in life. Just because it looks good on the outside doesn't mean it really is.
Yeah.
I think that it's a world that expects girls to wear masks. And, you know, the modeling industry is just a mere reflection of the standards of the world.
Boy, that's true.
So the models that are struggling with eating disorders and everything else trying to look perfect, they're just a reflection of the culture where we have a generation of girls who are struggling with the same thing.
Yeah. And boy, they are. That image of perfection is everywhere that a young girl looks today. The title of your book is Girl Perfect, and you talk a lot in the book about perfection, and actually that was a part of your life early on, so you were really a prime target to run into all of this and hit a wall when you realized the reality of it. Talk about what was going on in you and the need for that.
I think that every girl is looking for affirmation and acceptance. And in the modeling industry, I was taught that if I looked good on the outside, I was going to achieve that affirmation, that I was going to be accepted, and that longing inside of me would be filled. And that wasn't necessarily always the case. And in fact, most times it came back to bite me in the end, because I was being only valued for my outward appearance, and we're so much more than that.
But it took a while for you to realize that, didn't it? Because the glamour is so huge, and the affirmation when you're in the, you know, in that thick of it, so intense. When did you start to feel like something's wrong here?
Well, I did go to college, and so I always, as I would go and work in Europe in the summer times, I would always go back to college, and there was always a sense in me that I felt better when I was in school. I felt better when I was valued for my gifts and my talents and just the person I was underneath all of that. But when I graduated college and I moved to Europe indefinitely to do the runway and began working for Giorgio Armani and many others, and the fast-paced lifestyle began to really catch up with me, and I began to struggle. We starved ourselves to do the runway. I mean, just starved ourselves. And then not being able to come back to home where I was loved.
For who you were.
Yeah, there was such a lack of love. We were disposable. We were completely disposable.
And you really experienced that in an Armani session where you had been so thin, went home, spent some time with your family, gained 4 pounds that you probably really needed
more than that,
point. And then you went back to the runway, and what happened?
You know, starving myself for the runway did catch up with me, and it threw my entire body off. My hormones were out of whack. I began breaking out in acne. I had dark circles under my eyes. So there was, and I was lonely inside. And I think after a while, that just
shows on the outside.
It began to surface. And so when I lost the Armani shows, I, again, felt disposable, and I began to lose all of my jobs, and my body continued to be withering away, and I was, you know, too thin for one and not thin enough for another, and too tall for one and not for another, and it was just a constant battle of trying to be good enough and where to find your acceptance. And it was shortly after that some people over in Europe did reach out to me for Christ when I was at my own personal bottom with.
You know, Jennifer, I feel so sorry for young girls who are growing up today because I feel like they are just barraged with image, and all of this fake, shallow, surfacey stuff. What message in Girl Perfect and from your own life do you want young women today to hear loud and clear?
Well, you are more than what you look like. Your value is far beyond the flesh. That your sexuality is not something to be shared to receive affirmation, that your body will never be perfect.
Yeah.
That's one thing, because they're in search of perfect.
Yes.
That's what they're in search of. And the world is telling them that they're going to get there. But the truth is, they're not going to get there. The only perfect that they can find is a relationship with Christ. And that frees us to be imperfect and loved at the same time.
You know, if you're looking for perfection and fulfillment and love in all the wrong places, read Girl Perfect. She's got a great message, and it's for you. Thank you so much for being with us today. This, by the way, is available around the country. Go to CBN.com to find out more. Thank you, Jennifer, for being with us. What a message.